Claire and Emily had been friends since high school. They were two peas in a pod. They laughed together. They cried together. They shared all their secrets. Emily was the life of the party. Claire was quieter, more cautious. But they balanced each other out. They understood each other like sisters. After high school, they went to different colleges, but they stayed close. They talked on the phone every day. They visited each other on weekends. They were inseparable. Everyone knew that where you found Claire, you'd find Emily, and vice versa. They were the truest definition of best friends. Then came 2020. The world changed with the pandemic. Colleges shut down. Claire and Emily found themselves back in their small hometown. They quarantined together at Claire's house. At first, it felt like a blessing. They were back to their high school routine. They baked cookies, they watched movies, they painted their nails, they gossiped about boys.
Are you sure she's good for you, honey?
Claire's mom, however, had her doubts. She loved Emily, but she always felt there was something a little off about her. She voiced her concerns to Claire. Claire's friends from high school echoed her mom's concerns. They pointed out that Emily could be manipulative and dramatic, but Claire brushed off their worries. She thought they were just overreacting. She trusted Emily completely. A few months into quarantine, Emily's world fell apart. Her long-term boyfriend, Jake, dumped her. Claire felt terrible for her friend. She knew Emily was hurting. She tried to be there for her, offering comfort and support. But Emily's heartbreak quickly spiraled into something much darker. She became reckless and impulsive. She started drinking heavily. She went out to parties every night, ignoring social distancing rules. Claire was worried. She tried to talk to Emily, but her friend wouldn't listen. Claire tried to reason with her. She reminded Emily that she had other people who loved her, that she didn't have to go through this alone. But Emily was inconsolable. She pushed everyone away except for Claire. S1, you don't understand. You've never been through a breakup like this. Claire found herself getting swept up in Emily's whirlwind of self-destruction. Emily was always the life of the party, drawing everyone in with her infectious energy and carefree attitude. She went along with her to parties, even when she knew she had other responsibilities. The thrill of the night and the allure of Emily's charisma were hard to resist. She lied to her parents about where she was going, creating elaborate stories to cover her tracks. Each lie felt like a small betrayal, but she justified it as protecting Emily. She even covered for Emily when she got into trouble, always ready with an excuse or a shoulder to cry on. It became a routine, a cycle she couldn't break. Claire knew she shouldn't be enabling Emily's behavior. Deep down, she understood the consequences but felt powerless to change the course. But she couldn't bear to see her friend so heartbroken. Emily's pain was her pain, and she felt a deep sense of responsibility. She told herself she was just being a good friend, that loyalty meant standing by Emily no matter what. It was a comforting lie she clung to. Claire's own life began to unravel. The weight of Emily's chaos started to take a toll on her well-being. She stopped going to her online classes, unable to focus on her studies. The stress was overwhelming and her priorities shifted. Her grades started to slip, and she found herself falling behind. The future she had worked so hard for seemed to be slipping away. She was constantly exhausted from staying up late, cleaning up Emily's messes. The physical and emotional toll was relentless. Her relationship with her boyfriend Mark became strained. The tension between them grew with each passing day. He couldn't understand why Claire was suddenly so distant. Their once strong bond was now filled with misunderstandings and frustration. He tried to talk to her about Emily, but Claire wouldn't hear it. She was defensive, unwilling to see the truth. She refused to believe that her best friend could ever be a bad influence. In her eyes, Emily was just misunderstood, and she was determined to stand by her. Emily's behavior started to affect Claire's other relationships too. She would make snide remarks about Mark, criticizing his looks and his personality. She would flirt with him shamelessly, right in front of Claire. When Claire confronted her about it, Emily would just laugh it off.
Can't a girl have a little fun?
Mark was getting fed up. He loved Claire, but he couldn't compete with Emily's constant need for attention.
It's her or me, Claire.
He finally said, issuing an ultimatum. Claire was torn. She didn't want to lose Mark, but she couldn't imagine her life without Emily. She begged Mark to be patient. She promised that things would get better. But deep down, she wasn't sure if they ever would. Then, the unthinkable happened. Emily announced she was pregnant. Claire was shocked. Emily had been with so many different guys since her breakup with Jake. She had no idea who the father could be. Emily, however, seemed unfazed. She brushed off Claire's concerns with a wave of her hand.
It's all going to work out.
She said confidently. But things didn't work out. A few weeks later, Emily confessed that she wasn't actually pregnant. She had made the whole thing up. Claire was furious. She couldn't believe that Emily would lie about something so serious. She confronted her friend, demanding an explanation. Emily broke down in tears. She admitted that she had just been desperate for attention. She hadn't meant to hurt anyone. Claire had reached her breaking point. She had been patient for far too long, hoping things would change. She realized that Emily wasn't just going through a rough patch. This wasn't a phase or a temporary lapse in judgment. This was who she was. Emily's behavior was a pattern, a deeply ingrained part of her personality. A manipulative, self-centered drama queen. Claire had tried to overlook it, to be supportive, but it was too much. Claire was tired of being dragged down by her. The emotional toll was becoming unbearable. She finally confronted Emily, laying out all her frustrations and hurt. It was a difficult conversation, but it had to be done. She told Emily that she needed to get help, that her behavior was not just affecting her, but everyone around her. That she couldn't be her friend anymore if she didn't start taking responsibility for her actions. Claire needed to set boundaries for her own well-being. Emily didn't take it well. She was defensive and angry, refusing to see her own faults.
You're a bad friend, Claire. How could you do this to me? You're abandoning me when I need you most. Emily's words were like daggers, filled with hurt and betrayal.
She accused Claire, trying to turn the tables, blaming Claire for all her problems. It was a classic manipulation tactic. She even went as far as to spread rumors about Claire around town, trying to ruin her reputation. Claire was devastated. The betrayal cut deep. She had lost her best friend. The person she had trusted the most had turned against her. And to make matters worse, her reputation was tarnished. People believed Emily's lies. The gossip spread like wildfire. They looked at Claire with suspicion and judgment. The weight of their stares was almost too much to bear.
Claire, I understand why you did what you did. Let's move forward together. Narrator. It took time, but Claire slowly started to rebuild her life. She cut off all contact with Emily. She apologized to Mark for the way she had treated him. To her surprise, he forgave her. They slowly started to rebuild their relationship.
Claire went back to college. She focused on her studies. She got a part-time job. She reconnected with her old friends. It wasn't easy. There were days when Claire missed Emily terribly. She wondered if she had made the right decision. But then she would remember all the drama, all the lies, all the hurt, and she knew that she had made the best choice for herself. She had finally chosen her own happiness. As Claire focused on herself, she discovered a newfound sense of peace. Without the constant chaos of Emily's drama, she could finally breathe. The weight that had been pressing down on her chest for so long was lifted, and she felt lighter than she had in years. She realized how much energy she had been wasting, trying to fix Emily's problems. It was as if she had been carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones, and now she was free to drop it. Now she could channel that energy into her own life, her own goals, her own happiness. She started to pursue hobbies she had long forgotten, like painting and writing, and found joy in rediscovering her passions. She started to see the world with fresh eyes. The colors seemed brighter, the air felt crisper, and every moment was filled with potential. She appreciated the simple things more: a beautiful sunset, a good book, the sound of birds singing in the morning, a quiet evening with Mark. Their relationship grew stronger as they spent more quality time together, free from the shadows of past conflicts. The rumors that Emily had spread slowly started to fade. The whispers that once haunted her began to disappear, replaced by the truth of her resilience. People realized that Emily's stories didn't add up. They began to see through the lies and recognized Claire's true character. They saw that Claire was thriving without Emily in her life. She was flourishing, growing into the person she was always meant to be. They saw a strong, independent young woman who was finally living her truth. Claire was no longer hiding behind the facade of someone else's expectations. Claire didn't need anyone's validation, but it felt good to have her reputation restored. She felt a sense of justice, knowing that the truth had prevailed. But it felt good to have her reputation restored. The community support was a balm to her soul, healing the wounds of past betrayals. She had survived the storm and come out stronger on the other side. Claire was ready to embrace the future with open arms, knowing that she had the strength to face whatever came her way. One day, while brainstorming business ideas with Mark, Claire stumbled upon a golden opportunity. She had always loved children. She had babysat throughout high school and college.
Claire, why don't you open your own daycare center? You're amazing with kids.
Claire was hesitant at first. She had never run a business before, but Mark believed in her. He encouraged her to follow her dream. With Mark's support, Claire took the leap. She found a perfect location for her daycare center. It was a charming little house with a big backyard, ideal for children to play. She renovated the space to be bright, cheerful, and welcoming. She filled it with toys, books, and art supplies. She called it Claire's Cubs. Claire's Cubs was a huge success. Parents loved Claire's warm and nurturing personality. Children flocked to her daycare, drawn to her infectious laughter and her genuine love for kids. Claire had found her calling. She was making a difference in the lives of children. She was her own boss, and she was happier than she had ever been. Looking back, Claire realized that her toxic friendship with Emily had been a blessing in disguise. It had taught her valuable lessons about self-respect, boundaries, and forgiveness. It had forced her to confront her own weaknesses and discover her own strength. She had emerged from the wreckage of that friendship as a confident, independent woman. She had found her voice, her purpose, and her happily ever after.